entered into the era of cockroach effect. What exactly it is, how it is bringing digital activism to our country, and why our country is following it up like anything. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh, and in today's session we are going to understand that how the cockroach effect has taken up our country, because what we are looking at is something unusual but probably something very much needed. So when we are looking at this effect, this understanding of this effect has come into conversation, because what we are seeing that multiple digital first led channels which are talking about the social agendas or issues have cropped up, such as E20 Janta Party. We are looking at Reservation Hatao Andolan. We are looking at RSS, which is not RHA the Sequel, that is Reservation Removal Sangh here. So when we are looking at all of this, one word that has cropped up and summed up what is unfolding is the cockroach effect. So first we need to know that what exactly is cockroach effect. So when we are talking about cockroach effect, you have to understand that this defines the digital movements that are coming up just after the apparent success of Cockroach Janta Party. Now when we are looking at digital movements, what do we mean by this exactly? We exactly mean that what Cockroach Janta Party created. A social media page turned into a campaign. It demonstrated that social mobilization, political mobilization can happen. It shaped the public discourse and it led to policy actions. So this is the expectations of these emerging movements, page movements that we are seeing. And the question here is not only the fact that why it is happening, but why it is gaining so much traction. One time it was understandable because probably it was a pain point. But when we are looking at Reservation Hatao Andolan, look at this number. This shows that people are catching up to not just Cockroach Janta Party, what they had to offer, but what these social media movements are also trying to create. But the question is why? Is everything connected with people, or there are certain reasons that we should talk about? Yes, there are certain very specific reasons, because when we are looking at that why young people are specifically joining these movements, you have to understand that the very clear answer here is that this is the digital first generation. Instagram is their medium of communication, understanding, and this is what they are using to communicate. So this happens their platform as a political space as well. So reels and memes have become the medium to simplify political things where young people wanted to dissociate themselves, where they were not clear. This is the place where reels, memes, carousels are breaking that barrier and making young people understand. And you cannot forget here that because we are talking about something digital, the information spreads in minutes. What you are looking here in Delhi is something that can be seen in Mumbai at that very minute. It can be seen in Chennai that very minute. Furthermore, when we are talking specifically about young people, there is this feeling of being unheard, being not taken seriously. And this is also which is materializing them coming together for the causes they want to be heard, they want addressal to. And once it gains the traction that we are seeing, it is validated also. Apart from that, you have to understand that the changing, evolving form of protest is bringing in this change. Because when we were looking at protests earlier, what used to happen? Meetings, rallies, people coming out of their homes. Then decisions used to be taken place, the discourse was decided, then probably some media coverage, and if it would be heard, then action. But the barrier to participation as of now has dialed down so much that you don't need to come to meetings, you don't need to come to rallies. It all works on like, shares and subscribes. It works on followers. And this is so easy to do on a click of button that this shows involvement. The discourse is finalized here, it gains media attention, and then they come offline. That is when they assemble. Cockroach Janta Party was not an offline movement from the start. It came to offline, it came on ground after the media attention, and that's when their policy action was something considered. So what we are seeing, that the barrier to participate has changed in the present time. And the whole core of these change is community. These pages are social movements, yes, but they are starting with an idea of community where all the like-minded people who want to tell, who want to know, they are coming together. And that is why we are seeing this cockroach effect materializing in form of multiple campaigns which have the similar digital first approach in front of us. Because you need to understand that if these factors were not present, then this movement by young people would not be materializing in the volume in terms of depth that it is right now. And that brings us to Reservation Hatao Andolan. Because when we are talking about this new Andolan right in front of us, we have to understand that this is an Instagram-led campaign which is focused on reservation policy which runs in our country. The whole idea of this movement is to end the caste-based reservation that exists. They are trying to emphasize and tell that admissions should be merit-based, recruitment should be merit-based, economic backwardness should be a consideration, financial support can come into the picture, and reservation policies call for periodic review. Just like CJP, they also have gone and clarified that we are not a political party. We are just trying to bring a change. We were expecting that the BJP-led government will be bringing in this change, but they have not. And they are saying they want all of this because this will also reduce the caste-based politics that are unfolding. So when you look at the framework, the way it is unfolding, you might feel that this is nothing but a sequel to what CJP did. But for a sequel, these both have to be same. Are they same? What do you feel? Do you feel these are running on the very same line or not? Let me know in the comment section. So when we are looking at this whole thing, first you have to understand if we are talking about sequel in terms of strategy, maybe yes. But if we are talking about a sequel in terms of what issue RHA is trying to address, it's a big no. Because when we are talking about CJP, it was touching a pain point present across the society, affecting almost everybody, every household in the country. But when we are looking at reservation, it is something way more complex. It is not something a governance failure or administrative failure. It is a constitutional debate, how our society has evolved, what are the changes that have happened, how Supreme Court has given verdict, what are the changes government brought, what are the reservation policies being added, and so much more. So this is something that happens to be way more complex in terms of issue, and to understand this better, to address this better, needs to be done not just by them but also the government. So when we are looking at the understanding of sequel, we have to understand that as of now what Reservation Hatao Andolan is asking is immensely different from what Cockroach Janta Party was asking, and as of now we are looking at a wider constitutional debate which can contain anything and everything that runs around caste-based reservation, caste-based politics in our very country. Now this being a social justice issue that RHA is trying to address, it is also gaining huge amount of traction. I have just showed you the number, but the question here is why. You have to understand that how this is a highly emotional as well as sensitive topic for whole of our society. And then being a digital first platform, they are using short videos, engaging algorithms to ensure that the digital community is finding their sense and they are coming together. This is not the only thing that is unfolding in form of cockroach effect. We are also saying, as I said, E20 Janta Party. E20 Janta Party wants that the independent citizens should be able to choose their choice of fuel. That is their demand. They are creating a digital movement across this. They feel that there should be transparency. And this is their way of generating a community, a movement, a public discourse on this. So here EGP is talking about consumer rights. It is talking about fuel policy. And you can see now that Cockroach Effect, the strategy is same, but the issues that are being roped in, they are coming from the ground, but from a wide variety. And this is what marks the arrival of, a resounding arrival of digital activism into our country. That means that online platforms are not just being used to raise awareness, they are being used to shape public's opinion, shape public discourse for mobilization, building communities, and encouraging that policy discussions should happen, which is the platform on which we are talking about everything. And this digital activism comes with some unique characteristics which we did not see in earlier form of movements which were on ground or earlier form of protest. For example, these are low cost movements. This is low cost activism. The reach is immense. It is unstoppable to an extent. The communication is instant. When we are looking at leadership, it is coming from all across the country. It is absolutely decentralized, and what we are seeing that the engagement is coming from the place we were expecting, demographic dividend. But at the same time, digital activism does have its characteristics, does have the benefits, but there are risks. Fake news, deep fakes, misinformation, echo chambers, polarization, and so much more. And more importantly, when we are looking at online support, it is not necessary that all of this transforms into on-ground support. So the question is, can we believe that digital activism is present in India now and it can bring in change in public policy? So honestly, what CJP has executed as of now, this shows that it can bring awareness, it can attract attention, it can ensure that there is public participation, there is sustained media coverage, honest coverage, and also in the end, the government can engage and discussions and reforms can happen. But this is something that has happened once. This is something all these factors materialized, came together. But digital activism can actually facilitate public policy, but it is not always necessary that cockroach effect will multiply and go into the same result, same basket that we are seeing. So what comes tomorrow of all these pages and these social media movements needs to be seen. The starting point, the strategy remains similar. We cannot say the same for the end. But the good news here is that the youth is contributing, the youth is present, and youth has found its medium. Now we need to ask the next set of questions from ourselves and also along everybody, that how should government respond to this digital campaigns? Can actually social media bring accountability? How the misinformation needs to be managed without compromising on the rights of individual, and what institutional mechanisms can channel digital participation into actually helping the democratic setup that rides in front of us. What are your thoughts on all of these? Let me know in the comment section. Would really like to know what you think on this particular trend that is coming across our country. Leaving you here with the prelims practice question. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.